Yesterday, on February 8th, I finished reading Jayber by Wendell. I first met Jayber in the pages of Andrew Peterson's Adorning the Dark. Peterson, a Christian singer-songwriter and children's fantasy author, praises the book by Barry and points out the simple, quiet life of Jayber as one to be studied and embraced. This book made me cry. There is tragedy in it. There is unrequited love in it. There is destruction of beautiful things in it. And yet it is not a complete tragedy. It is bittersweet. There is good mixed with the bad. There is beauty among the ashes. And even in something as destructive as a flood, there may be fruitful soils planted ever after. I'm new to the whole booktube experience. I don't know how much I'm supposed to talk about books I've read. So from here on out, there will be spoilers. So if you haven't read the book or you want to remain unaware, leave the video now. I'd like to talk about what made me uncomfortable with Jayber. That was Jayber's love for Maddie Chatham. Maddie Chatham is a married woman, married to Troy Chatham, who thought that he could farm the land in a way the land did not want to be farmed, and who mortgaged himself beyond his means throughout the course of his life, in the course of the book. Jayber found Troy to be a braggadocio, a blowhard, and it drove him the wrong way, even before seeing Maddie playing with her children and falling in love with her due to her simple goodness. And while that sounds like the plot of a sordid, adultery-laden novel, it was actually the start of something almost more like a religious devotion. Jayber pledged himself to Maddie in a way that a knight might pledge himself to the Virgin Mary, or Don Quixote pledging himself to his Dulcinea. But instead of being an impure woman, as in the case of Don Quixote, Jayber's woman, Maddie, became the emblem for all that was good in his life, all he could aspire for, while her husband became the emblem of all the things he did not want to be. And yet again and again throughout the book, Jayber was confronted with how much alike he was with Troy Chatham. From the moment that Jayber found Troy in a bar in another town, dancing with another woman, he vowed in his mind to be Maddie's faithful husband, whether she knew it or not. What that meant for Jayber was not to try to approach her or in any way undo the marriage that Troy and Maddie had, but instead to become faithful to her as an ideal. He broke up with his long-term on-again, off-again girlfriend and never touched a woman afterwards. Troy's ambition is the opposite of Jayber. Jayber is content with where he is put in life. From the orphanage as a young boy, to drifting in and out of a seminary college and just falling into the barbering trade, and then falling as if by divine providence into Port William at the time when they needed a new barber, falling into a circle of welcome friends, even falling into a new home in his retirement. Jayber shows a man who is content to go where life leads him. He lets life happen to him, and he does the best he can in it. Troy, on the other hand, is a man against the land. He wants to farm but knows nothing of farming. He thinks nothing of farming. He thinks of techniques, ideas in articles and books. His life is a debt, a race of debt against debt to be worth something. I am uncomfortable with the strange faithfulness Jayber has to a married woman. And so that keeps me from giving it a 5 out of 5 rating in my personal scale. However, I understand what Wendell is doing, or at least I think I do. It's a cautionary tale, in a way. Jayber's truth to his ideal is stronger than Troy's untruth to his actual. Jayber lives in a real world, and Troy lives in a world of his own fantasy. By the end of the book, we find Troy tearing the real and beautiful world down around himself just to gain a few more hours of comfort. And it's then, seeing everything stripped away from his antagonist and opponent that Jayber realizes Troy is just a small, sad and scared little man who is doing everything he can to appear big, who knows deep down that he is nothing, and in his race against nothing he has lost. He has wagered everything and lost it all, without ever truly knowing what it was he had or what he lost. So Jayber, who never held Maddie in his arms, is the tragic hero of his own self-titled story. But Troy, the villain, the foil, the opponent, is a much more tragic figure because he never knew what he had and can never know what he truly lost. The older I get, the more books I read that make me cry. Perhaps passing middle age and being a father makes me more sentimental than I was in my youth. Or maybe I've just found that life is not all grand adventure and rags to riches stories. We are not all the chosen one. A life lived in the Shire or on the farm does not sound so bad anymore. And it makes me feel grateful for every day. Jayber Crow reminds me of Garrison Keller's Lake Wobegon days. Except there's more heart in Jayber Crow. While Keller had a tendency towards the twee, as enjoyable as they may be, the roots set down by Jayber Crow in Port Williams were real and last long after his story fades from memory. I hope you read Jayber Crow. I hope quiet books without much excitement mean something to you. I love a good adventure. I love a thriller. But I also love a life well lived. And I'm looking to live one. If you read this book, and if we meet, let's talk about it. Until then, have a good night, and thank you for watching.